Hive YouTube channel. Today we are checking on the bees. We want to see if we have any queens started from the queen cells that we took and put into the other hives. And these hives were splits that did not have queen cells that were to relieve overcrowding. So we want to see if they made a queen cell and how they're doing. It's getting to be a little later in the day. I'd like to see more activity at the entrance than there is. But there are bees in the hive. They're buzzing. I've had an entrance reducer on these to make sure that they can defend their hive against robbing. We're into August. I was doing some field work today and saw some goldenrod in blossom. It was the first I've seen, and that's usually the last of the pollen sources that go through sometime mid-September for the bees. So right here on the farm we've been knocking down thistle, and it's been at its end. Give them a little bit of smoke. Some days the smoker does not want to stay lit, and this is one of those days. If I open it up, it gives it a little bit more air. If you have trouble keeping your smoker lit, I'll tell you one of the things you can do is clean out all the soot in the inside, because that can really reduce the amount of smoke ability for it, because it doesn't want to stay lit. So most of my bees are here in the center frames. They're not doing a lot of collecting. The outside frames are still bare. I'll just show ya. They haven't started drawing any comb on it at all. They're kind of they're a beehive in limbo right now because they are probably still queenless. I didn't get out and check the bees like I had wanted last week. So this has been about a week and a half. Generally, taking that one frame out gives me a little more space to work, because if there is a queen cell, I don't want to disturb it. So this was some half-drawn comb that was already here, so I wanted to take a look at that. When you're working with a hive like this, the frames are generally pretty light. And I have the sun behind me so that I can see any fresh larvae. So I marked on this that I was here on August 3rd. So on August 3rd, there were 2 queen cells here. I have it marked on 2 frames. Oh, I see a little tiny hive beetle here. We're going to have to put out a hive beetle trap. Let's see if you can see it. Right here in this cell, here's a hive beetle. Right there. Let me get that sucker. So I'm not seeing any larvae yet, but a queen would still be young enough that she has not gone out on a mating flight, that she's maturing in the hive, so I'm checking for her. Don't be confused by a drone. They're real fat. And if you can't find her, she could be out of the hive. She could be could have not survived. There were 2 queen cells here, so there should be at least one that made it back. And generally, if you look where they are facing like a bundle, you might find them. Like right here, I smoked them, so they're facing down in to eat the honey. It's a little tricky sometimes. So I was saying, on a hive like this, it's not real heavy. So here's a queen cell that they started to tear down. So I'm looking to see if she might be on this frame. So right here is what a queen cell looks like when they are tearing it down. So she's hatched out of there. The other one was completely gone, but I'm not seeing the queen here. I may have missed. There's only 4 frames here, so it's kind of hard to miss her. Here's another hive beetle right there. So that's the little bugger. That's part of the trouble. They're not great to have. So you do a little oil trap, and they will not be able to get past that barrier. So we'll have to check back on this hive in a while and see if there is a laying queen, because she could just be out on a flight at this point for doing some mating. But if it remains queenless, a worker will start laying, and a worker only lays drones, which is the male. Now to mark my frames, I started carrying a colored pencil, and this is just something from one of my kids' colored pencil sets, but you can get this in a carpenter's pencil. Even if you just have a lead pencil in your pocket, it can be helpful. And today I also put a paint marker that has acrylic paint instead of oil-based paint, so that if I find a queen, I can mark her if I like. It's a little harder to mark a moving queen. But you can carefully get her by the wing and mark her thorax. They have a special marking tube, but most people that I have spoke to about it have said they have had more luck crushing their queen that way than marking her. Now this hive is a little quieter than the previous hive, and I think I might have put one more frame in this one than the other. No, this is a 4-frame split also, so I'll start right out by making some space. They've already been busy at work. They like to use their propolis, like glue, and seal frames together. I'm just going to put that aside. Oh yeah, they've started to draw a little there. Give them a good puff of smoke. Like I said before, the smoke will drive them down and allow you a little finger room. So same thing, just a little bit of drawn comb on this one from the previous residence. And we're going to look and see. I've got a marking here. This one had a supersede yourself. And you will be checking for a queen as well. Now here I've got a full frame of honey. So they have been out collecting some pollen. Remember, when you pull a frame out, make sure you put it back in the same order if possible. It really kind of messes with their house. Think of it like if somebody was in your house moving your furniture around. So right off the bat, I'm looking for sealed brood, which I'm not finding. And I just keep an eye out for the queen as I work. She's a bit longer, and if she's mated, a little fatter than the other bees. A drone is quite a bit bigger than the other bees. Now each frame has, on a starter hive like this, probably 1,500 to 2,000 bees per frame when I pull it out. That is a lot of bees. So right here I'm looking at the queen cell. On the face of this frame. And it looks like they're actually working around it. Right in the center of the frame, right there. So, it's like they're cleaning house, which means she should have hatched out. and that they're probably tearing it down. I had this marked August 2nd. And I can't exactly read the writing because sometimes it's hard to write over it. But I don't see a queen. It almost acts like they're filling that cell with royal jelly still. They're not tearing it down. So they could be in need of some more larvae. So I may have to pop a frame out of one of these others for these hives if they're still queenless. But I'm trying to give them a little chance. Now if these two are queenless, they definitely need a layer. Now here's a queen cell right here, and they tore it down. It's right there, and it's all tore apart. Now, all the bees that were brought to this hive have hatched out. There is no new larva. And you can see how it can be hard to find the queen because they are moving around. They're busy, they're eating. They're cleaning. And I'll warn you, you have to be careful not to drop a frame as you're inspecting it. Because if you drop it, you're going to drop all these bees off and they're going to be not too happy. So a small queen can be hard to spot in a situation like this. And be forewarned that you can roll your queen or crush your queen by taking frames in and out. So I don't try to hurry. I tell the family, I'll be out at the bees, see you later. They know I can't answer the phone with the gloves on. And I'm not like these old timers. I don't handle bee stings as well. Well, if she's here, I don't see her. They're making quite a bit amount of noise. So that's your cue to give them some more smoke or to finish up. We're done. On a final note, I always press my frames together for even spacing. And last time I was here, I left them some mint. The mint is supposed to be a preventative for keeping the varroa mites out. So that's it for that hive. That is your basic beehive inspection. You're checking for a queen, you're checking for larvae to see if they need food, if you're going to have to feed them or not. They have plenty of food. we're just not seeing a queen producing any new baby bees yet. So we'll check back on these in a few days. After she's hatched, she can take up to about 2 weeks to mature and to go out. So it could be a maturing week for her. She could be out on a mating flight, and like I said, she could have not made it back from a mating flight. That's why I try to, if I can, if there's 2 queen cells, let it be with that, to have one as an insurance policy. So we're going to do some more hive inspections on these other hives and see how things are holding up.